the audience, he's very close to it. So a lady walks into a new doctor's office. Never been to this doctor before.
Hey everyone, thank you for inviting me to speak here today. I'm super excited. My name is Siri Hassa, and I'm a rising senior at University High School, and I'll be graduating next year. U-High is a really great school, and it has a lot of history and a great community impact, and also a little bit of asbestos, but we mostly just ignore that for the most part. Next slide, please. So, quickly, here's some history from U-High. I got to go see some old pictures from the class of 1966, which is also really cool, and I thought that was really interesting. So, yeah, next slide, please. So the 20-year project is basically a time capsule to commemorate the last 2 years of the pandemic and just preserve local history, and it's specifically for the town Normal and like people around the town Normal. So I got inspiration when I was basically sitting in Zoom school last year in my AP US History Zoom, and we were reading about the 1918 influenza pandemic, and I was like, wow, this is very similar to what we're experiencing right now. You know, like I'm excited to learn more about this. And then I opened my textbook and I looked through basically the whole thing, and there was only 2 paragraphs about the influenza pandemic. And that's when I started to get like a little bit of an existential crisis, because I didn't want my 2 years of the pandemic to be reduced to 2 paragraphs in a random textbook that no one's ever going to read or pick up or anything, or they're just going to be perusing through it for their class. So, and I especially think that as a youth, I have a different perspective on the pandemic. This is a time when I'm supposed to be like social and stuff, and like reaching out to people and you know, like forming friendships, but most of that was hindered because I was like on Zoom and through a computer and at home. So I think it was just really different for a lot of young people during the pandemic, because the only thing we had was like social media, and even that felt a little fake to connect with people. So yeah, I just didn't want my perspective and a lot of like the local history perspective just to be washed over in the future. So that's when I started planning the 20-year project. Next slide, please. So yeah, here's some of my experiences during the pandemic. Got vaccinated, hung out with my friends like once every month or so, if I could. Next slide, please. So yeah, when I started to get this idea, I reached out to a lot of places, and a lot of people said no. But I was really lucky to have reached out to Doug Damery at the Normal Parks and Rec Department, and he immediately said yes and thought it was a great idea. And I just felt really lucky because I faced like a lot of no's before, and it's just so nice that someone was willing to actually listen to a person like me and a young person instead of just dismiss them. So these are some of the people I worked with. I worked with people at the Parks and Rec Department, Doug Damery, Kathy Olson, Wendy Long, and also a couple people at Normal Public Library who helped me with that community outreach and actually getting this idea out there. And these are just a couple pictures of them during the event. Yeah, I was just really lucky that a lot of people now don't listen to young people as often, and I was just lucky that they didn't brush me over and let me do this project. Yeah, next slide, please. So I also got a lot of community support. People at U-High, there's a U-High Senate, basically, which is like a student council, and they helped me with the setup, and they helped me actually get this, get the word out there for submissions. I also worked with the Normal Public Library, and yeah, my family helped a lot too. I forced/asked my sister to make a logo for me, and she made me pay her, which was annoying, but that was the logo that she made. It was super cute. Next slide, please. Yeah, I also got grant money in order to run this event. So I'm a high school student, so I'm kind of broke, and I rely on my parents a lot. But I applied to 16 grants and for money so I can run this project, and a lot of people rejected me, and some didn't even respond, so I got ghosted by a couple of places. But I was lucky enough that 4 organizations supported me, and I got $1,600 in grant money to like build the capsule, and I'm donating 400 of it back into the community, specifically the Parks and Rec department, so they can get more programs out there, and hopefully it'll impact a lot of kids. But yeah, these are the people that funded the project. It's Karma for Kara, Peace First, America's Promise, and the Hershey Heartwarming Project. Next slide, please. Yeah, the box. This was, I think, the hardest part of the time capsule event. I didn't really know what would be sustainable to keep for 20 years, and how I would organize all the submissions and stuff. So luckily, someone built it locally. It's oak wood. It's really beautiful, and we got it stamped. We put lights around it to make it look pretty, but basically the nice people over at the Parks and Rec department agreed to seal it better so it won't look like that in a few years probably. But they agreed to seal it better so it can stand 20 years, which is nice of them. Next slide, please. So I got a lot of submissions, which I was super excited about. We encourage members in the Bloomington Normal area to submit things that were impactful to them. So a lot of times I get the question what if I don't have anything? Or what if I have something but I don't think it's important? And usually my answer to that would be, right now, a sticker that says I got vaccinated might just seem like a small thing and it just might not be important. But 20 years from now, that's definitely going to increase in value. It's definitely going to be more valuable to see because that offers a different perspective. So right now, a small thing as a sticker is just a sticker. But 20 years from now, that's a piece of history. So yeah, we got a lot of submissions straight away from the youth.
The bottom left picture has something really important in it.
Yes, it does. It has, next slide, please. Oh, next slide. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, the Young Men's Club submissions. So, actually, this was the first submission I received back in January, and Jim was the one that first reached out. He submitted a couple of things from the Sound of Illinois, which I put in, and then from the Young Men's Club, we got an annual report from both the presidents, and then a COVID-19 timeline, and then also a COVID impact statement. So I was really excited to get those because those were the first submissions I received. So I don't know, I was really happy that day because at least someone was listening in the community. Next slide, please. So we got over 700 photos. It's kind of hard to see all of them, but we got 700 photos. One lady emailed me, she had a file of 300 photos that she'd just been taking from the pandemic, and it would be pictures of Walgreens signs that said come in and get vaccinated, or signs around town that say okay, wear your mask. Yeah, just little things that she was saving to show her son in the future, and she donated some of those pictures to me, so that was really nice of her. Next slide, please. Some other cool things we received was the COVID-19 vaccine vials, which I didn't even know I was going to get, but OSF put together a submission and sent it over, and I was really excited because when I first got vaccinated, I asked if I could keep the little bottle just as a keepsake, and they said no, and that it was a biohazard, but then they sent it to me, so that was super exciting. I'm assuming they cleaned it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it on my social media, and someone asked me what I was doing with those, and I was like, oh, obviously I'm drinking it. Yeah, but yeah, we also got a couple masks and stuff from OSF. Next slide, please. Yeah, and another cool thing we got a letter from the governor, where it's basically just a letter addressing the town of Normal citizens 20 years from now, and I read that as part of our speaking program, and yeah, I thought it was a really cool letter. We also included a letter from the mayor, and those are all addressed to 20 years from now. Next slide, please. Another cool thing we received was a white flag from the McLean County Museum of History, and during the first part of 2020, they put out a white flag in their lawn every time there was a COVID death in McLean County. So I felt really honored to have received that flag and to be able to put it in the time capsule because it's really meaningful and it holds a lot of value. Next slide, please. Yeah, and we have a full submissions catalog online that you can see if you go to that link. It's kind of hard to go to that link right now, but yeah, that's what my basement looked like for basically 3 weeks while we were bagging all the items, and I was super lucky because my mom helped me bag all the items, and it took a long time to like preserve them properly. So yeah, she let me mess up her basement, so that was nice of her. Next slide, please. So the event took place at the Community Activity Center, and it was really nice because the Parks and Rec Department gave me that space for free as part of our collaboration. And we got some awesome volunteers from all around the area. We got them from NCHS, U High, which is clearly the best high school out of all of them, and Normal West. Some people don't agree. But those, I was really lucky because they all helped me set up the event, and it looked super nice for like a bunch of high schoolers. I thought it looked pretty festive in there and nice in there. Next slide, please. Those are a couple of other pictures during the event. We had a great turnout. We had like, I think 50 or 60 people come. Our speaking program was really great. We had Julie Emig from the McLean County Museum of History talk about the impact of the pandemic and how it's historic. We also had Miss Alicia Register from the Metcalf schools who talked about how hard it was to teach over Zoom, especially to middle schoolers, because that's an age where you don't really listen. Next slide, please. Yeah, we also had Lynn Fulton, director of OSF, come and speak about how the pandemic impacted their healthcare systems, and she talked about how they had to like adapt really quickly and how they had to basically shut down the whole like lobby of the hospital and things like that. And then Miss Grimm, who is actually my teacher, who was nice enough to come and speak at the event and talk about what it's like to have kids back after the pandemic. And one thing she said was, teachers are a lot more lenient now, especially after a year of Zoom school. Like, I noticed this too, like they just let us talk for like 10 minutes in class and not say anything, because I guess they missed that over Zoom, because over Zoom it'd mostly just be us staring at our cameras, or some people wouldn't even turn on their cameras. Like, I know some of my friends put Vaseline on the camera, and so whenever the teacher asked them to turn on their camera, it looked like their camera wasn't working, and they'd be like, oh, my camera isn't working, and then they turn it off. I can't say whether or not I used that a couple times, but I did use the sleeping excuse a couple times, where I overslept and I told the teacher that I just had Wi-Fi problems, and he didn't say anything. Next slide, please. Yeah, we also had Clara Veal and she's an ICU nurse at Broman, and she talked about her time in the ICU during like the height of COVID, when there was no vaccines and everyone was crazy, and we all didn't know what to do, and we just go with the first piece of information we'd see. And I think everyone started to get emotional during her speech, especially because she basically said that it's not over. Like, we're still battling variants and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of people got emotional during her speech. And another thing is, I get asked why like we decided to do the pandemic time capsule now, or why not like wait a few years and do it? Because I think we all forget how it was like at the beginning of the pandemic. Even I kind of forgot. Like at the beginning, all I thought was that I'd get like an extra few weeks of spring break and could just like watch all the TV I wanted, really. And then, you know, that happiness turned into like fear, and then the fear turned into leaving your packages outside for 48 hours and like sanitizing it 3 million times before you open it. I think we all forget what it was like at the beginning, so I thought it was important that we do it now so we don't forget what it was like, and so people in the future will be able to see what it was like. We also had Mayor Pro Tempore Kevin McCarthy speak, and he was actually the one that sealed the time capsule. By sealed, I mean like put a little bow over it, because the Parks and Rec Department, they're gonna like officially seal it. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I had all the volunteers put in all the items in the time capsule. And this is a good problem to have, but we actually had to like rearrange some of the items because we weren't sure if it would fit. So but that's always a good problem. Like, so many people submitted that it's full. But next slide, please. Yeah, and that's when it was officially sealed. That's my sister over there, and she was like trying to hold down all the items so they don't fall out. But yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so that's capsule. It was pretty full by the end of it, and it looked super cool. I don't know. Just looked nice. Next slide, please. Yeah, and those are all the lights around it, all sealed and stuff. So in the end, I learned a lot about, like how to reach out to your community, how to talk to people, how to get people to do things in your community at least. And I just really hope that I'll be there in 20 years to open it, and hopefully explain some of the items to, I guess they would be called the youngsters now, like hopefully explain some of the items to some of the young people that come. Yeah, but I just really hope that it gave people in the community some closure over what happened and some reassurance that their memories are going to be preserved and they're not going to be brushed off. Yeah, but in 20 years, I really hope that I can be there and open the time capsule. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I said 2 or 3 years, so you can go like visit it. I haven't visited it yet, but and then after that, they're gonna seal it in. I think there's some sort of town safe or something. They're gonna put it in there, and they left a note because all the people I worked with, they're pretty sure they weren't gonna be around the Parks and Rec department for the next 20 years, and most of them were like, I'm gonna retire. And so they left a note for the town clerk so they can open it up in 20 years. Yeah.
Besides the stuff you got from Young Men's Club, what was the coolest thing that you got to put in the box?
I might be a little biased here, but I think the coolest thing was my journal. I put in my COVID journal it was from the first few weeks of the pandemic, and I don't know, even when I read it, basically 2 years later, I was like, first of all, my writing has improved. Second of all, wow, I forgot all of this. And the second coolest thing was the vaccine vials, because I never thought I'd touch an actual vaccine vial. And also they rejected me at first, and then they gave it to me, so it felt like a win in my book.
Yeah.
Frank.
It looks like you're able to stuff everything in there you got, right?
Yeah.
What was your plan B if you got a lot more submissions and had to decide what to put in, what not to?
We were probably just gonna keep a couple aside and fit as much as we could in for display, and then maybe build another box or safe or something and put it in. Yeah.
Now, is the container sealed like air, so air won't circulate in and out, airtight, so to speak?
Yeah, they're gonna seal it with. They were gonna they had to redo the box a little because there was a slight slant, so it was but they sealed it with a bunch of tacky sealer, I guess, and we put all the items in waterproof covers so they don't get damaged with mold and air and stuff. So yeah, hopefully it's pretty sealed. It'd be pretty disappointing if we opened it and it was just a big blob of paper in 20 years.
One last question. Jared.
Your giving attitude is going to take you really well through life.